Tonight, Port Pirie Police investigating a spate of hoon driving in the city. And regional South Australian MPs facing scrutiny over the country travel allowance.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, everyone. CCTV obtained by 7 Spencer Golf News has uncovered a spate of hoon driving in a Port Pirie suburb. Residents say it's only a matter of time before someone is killed. Shari Hams has more.
This once quiet street in Port Pirie's Risdon Park is now a nightmare for residents. They say the area is constantly being targeted by hoon drivers. Residents on this street have chosen to remain anonymous, but they say this footage is one of the many incidents that has them raising grave concerns. Tyre marks and broken fences, with locals saying motorists are playing Russian roulette along these streets. The area home to children, with many families located along the unsealed road, along with a number of horses. Police have been made aware of the reoccurring incidents, confirming they'll be stepping in to prevent an innocent bystander being killed.
Obviously the residents in this particular area are fed up. They've installed cameras so we can get some footage of the offending.
They say the penalties for these offences are serious.
Hoon driving is not tolerated, and if necessary they go to court, they could get fined, their cars could be impounded and they can lose their licence.
Residents are being encouraged to report any dangerous driving through SAPOL's website.
We'd encourage people to log on to our SAPOL homepage, and there's a traffic watch complaint they can put in there.
Anyone with information is being urged to contact Port Pirie's police.
2 South Australian cabinet ministers are facing pressure to resign after being caught up in the country travel allowance affair. Member for Flinders Peter Treloar, the latest MP to get caught up in the scandal, claiming he's found errors in his expenses.
It's the scandal that's rocking South Australia's Parliament. 2 senior cabinet ministers and 1 backbench MP under the microscope after repaying more than $70,000.
The fact that thousands upon thousands of dollars are being paid back by a handful of Liberal Party members of Parliament should be of great concern.
Transport Minister Stefan Knoll reimbursing taxpayers $30,000. Tim Whetstone paying close to $7,000, while York Peninsula MP Fraser Ellis repaid more than $30,000. And today, member for Flinders Peter Treloar became caught up in the scandal.
I found errors through those 10 years, and I thought the best thing for me to do was make the correction.
Staff searched through more than 120 forms over the past decade, finding a handful of red flags. The member now changing dates of when he stayed in Adelaide.
I claimed September 2018 at the end of that calendar year, and I inadvertently inserted the dates for October. So that was one of the corrections I made. Labor says the whole situation doesn't pass the pub test and wants heads to roll.
The call for the dismissal of the 2 ministers involved is the right call.
Members' records are likely to be published monthly, with the Auditor-General to also look into claims.
If it was ordinary people that had engaged in this sort of behaviour, the consequences would be serious.
Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A 12-year-old boy charged over a fatal crash in Weiler earlier this month, which killed a 20-year-old man, has been remanded in custody. The magistrate ordered a bail remand report, which will inquire about the possibility of securing accommodation for home detention. The case will return to court in September. A local caravan park owner is hoping restrictions on gel blasters will not be enforced in the future. New regulations were imposed on the importation of toy guns in South Australia last month.
Since its opening last year, Warzone Skirmish has attracted people from around the world to stay at the Stony Creek Caravan Park in Wilmington.
My business has increased tenfold. I started off with 30 people wanting to come here and play skirmish. Now I'm up to like 360 people have signed membership forms.
But it's a sport currently in limbo. New police regulations state if they meet the definition of a firearm, it'll be banned from being imported into South Australia. Gel blasters were previously classified as imitation firearms. These restrictions were introduced last month, a move Wayne says has affected his business.
It's stopping me from moving forward. I have so many more plans to put in place, but the unsurety of it at the moment leaves me thinking it's just not worthwhile to keep going.
Combined with the economic crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic, he's concerned about the future of the park.
It was a bit of a saviour for my business. It is replacing the international trade that I've lost. With Safehold do say this is off, I think my business will come to an end.
A decision on the future of importation and sales of gel blasters will be made at a later date. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
2 Weiler men will face court over firearms offences after failing an audit earlier this week. Police discovered a missing gun at a registered Weiler Norrie address after conducting a security check.
Further inquiries revealed that the firearm had been supplied to an associate who was not authorised to possess the firearm. The firearm was located and seized, and a 54-year-old Weiler Stewart man was arrested and charged with possessing a firearm without a licence.
A 53-year-old man was also arrested for supplying the firearm, with the remaining collection and ammunition seized. Both will appear in court at a later date. Still to come tonight, Matthew Flinders to continue caring for Port Lincoln residents. And university students begin orientation in Weiler. Welcome back. Matthew Flinders Care Home has secured a 5-year lease extension to manage respite housing in Port Lincoln. The Jack Martin units owned by the City Council provide short-term accommodation for those in need.
On the outside, they're nothing special, but these Port Lincoln units serve an important purpose, providing an escape and respite for the elderly and disabled.
People with MS and those sorts of problems, it's nice for them to still be able to keep some independence and not be in a large nursing home facility. They've got a smaller home to operate.
The units were first built in the early 90s using grant funding from the Commonwealth Government. 30 years on and the building is showing its age.
The units need some work done to get them up to standard, particularly internally with kitchens and air conditioning and so on.
Matthew Flinders' home operate the 2-bedroom units, with Council renewing that partnership for another 5 years. The long-term agreement will see the group undertake a significant upgrade to the site. Palliative care provider, the Mary Potter Foundation, has also shown interest, offering a potential $60,000 refurbishment.
They can be shared, or they could be families, or if someone's in palliative care in those last stages of their life, or their families can move in with them as well.
More and more for younger people with disabilities who might otherwise end up in the nursing home, which is a very sad situation.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Port Augusta ratepayers are invited to a rate review night that'll be held in coming weeks. The presentation from Council will begin discussions over potential changes to the city's current rating system.
The last financial year has only just passed, and yet the Port Augusta City Council is already starting conversations over the next. City Council is taking their pitch to the community from next month.
The whole intent of this consultation period is to get people involved in the discussion and get them to understand what may or may not occur, and then the elected body and the council make a decision on those discussions.
They'll host rate review presentations beginning August 4th. One major change proposed would see rates go from being charged based on site value to capital value. It's a move the Mayor says will create a fairer structure.
Over time, it should be an equalling out of the rates over a period of time. Initially, there will be changes. Some will go up, some will come down, as they always do.
Although conversations are starting early into the financial year, proposed local government reforms could see the decision taken out of Council's hands.
It does recommend that the 7 councils that remain in site value are to go to capital value. So they're suggesting that should occur as well. So if that reform gets through, it won't be a council decision as such.
Port Augusta Ratepayers Association did not comment before deadline. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Weiler's UniSA campus is back up and running, with in-person classes scheduled to return next week. Education and social work students had the chance to tour the grounds and meet fellow peers as part of a mid-year orientation.
Excited to be bouncing ideas off each other in a face-to-face environment once again.
It's fantastic to welcome students onto campus, and we're really looking forward to the second half of the year.
On-site learning back on the agenda for this term at the Weiler campus. The new normal on display across the grounds with social distancing signs and hand sanitising stations in place. This group of orientation students excited to be returning.
We've welcomed some Port Lincoln and Port Augusta students as well as some locals from Weiler.
Shana, a new social work student living in Port Augusta, will make the weekly trip to Weiler for some interaction with her peers.
It opens many more doors for me. I'm currently in the youth field, but I'm not restricted. I can go anywhere with social work, and that's something that interests me.
Previously enrolled students also excited for the return after working online throughout the pandemic.
They've worked really hard to be successful and stay on course, but we're really looking forward to working them back on campus, and I know the students are looking forward to coming back as well.
It was very different. It did have its challenges, obviously, because, I wasn't used to doing online work, but I got through it and it feels good to be on the other side of it now.
Sophia Contigonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Weiler businesses team up to help a local charity. And Port Pirie's council building undergoing renovations. Weiler businesses McLeods Toyota and Sinorama have teamed up, sponsoring a car which will be used by INAT for 12 months. The charity will use the vehicle to support mental health awareness in the region.
I'm Not Afraid to Talk, an organisation helping locals deal with mental health.
We're a male support group, suicide prevention group. We drop the stigma in mental health, so we run workshops, we do one-on-one chats with people.
McLeod's car dealership and Sinorama coming together, providing INAT this brand new car for 12 months.
I think in February or March I was nominated by Mayor Claire McLaughlin to do a INAT chat. Never really knew much about INAT, never heard of it before.
A few days later, Malcolm met the founders of the organisation. He was moved by Jeremy's story of giving up his job at the steelworks and selling his family car to follow his passion for helping others. Inspired, Malcolm phoned Sinorama for help.
I was more than willing to offer a free design and supply and install wrap for these guys.
Weiler's Chamber of Commerce also joining the partnership, donating annual sponsorship to the organisation.
If you feel that you'd like your staff to listen to an INAT presentation, the Chamber is sponsoring INAT, so they will go into any business house that would like to hear the presentation.
The car will be used to travel to cities across the region.
How do you say thank you for something like this? We've just got to keep battling and keep doing what we do.
Sophia Contigonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
That's a great donation. Well done to all involved. Solomon Town students have celebrated 100 days of school this year with a dress-up dance party held on school grounds. They've spent the last few days learning about the number 100 through many different literacy, numeracy and STEM activities. Teachers say it's great for students to celebrate their achievements during these trying times. Port Augusta's Wave Skate Park is undergoing much-needed maintenance. The site has now been blocked off to the public as work begins to fix vandalism and structural damage. The City Council is urging anyone who sees antisocial behaviour at the park to call police to ensure the site is safe for the community to use. The Port Pirie Council building is undergoing $70,000 worth of renovations after termites were found in the building. A temporary office has been set up in the foyer area of the chambers.
This customer service area is looking a bit different with construction underway. The building's set to be transformed with technological upgrades also on the agenda.
Technology to lodge their plans or to register their dogs and remodel our office at the same time. So all in all, we're trying to fix 2 or 3 things.
And we're also putting our sneeze screens up, which we've used through COVID, but I think they're a great idea to continue along with. So it's just a matter of using the space better in our council chamber.
The much-needed upgrades were a part of an extension program to eradicate some unwelcome guests.
So originally we found some termite damage in our front counter and front office area, and we're also looking at some of the changes that are coming in with the Planning Act.
Council CEO says the building will benefit both staff and local residents.
It was just opportune time to try and do all these things in one hit. But yes, it was a The offers have been the same way for quite a long period of time.
In the meantime, a temporary service desk has been set up in the chambers and residents will need to access through this entrance.
Office in the foyer of the chambers, and we'll continue to provide the services we've always provided from that spot.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll check the region's fuel prices and we'll have the weather details with Britt. Hello again. Time now to see how things are shaping up when we head to the Bowser. Here's Nathan Rector with this week's Fuel Watch.
It's not good news if you need to fill up the car, with regional petrol prices seeing an increase from last week. Starting with unleaded, and in Port Lincoln, petrol is averaging $1.19 a litre, while also recording a marginal rise. Port Augusta is sitting on $1.22, while Port Pirie is also seeing a slight rise to $1.17 a litre. Kadina has seen a 1 cent jump, while Broken Hill has stayed the same at $1.23. Adelaide has seen the biggest rise, averaging $1.36 a litre, a whopping 27 cent rise. Moving over to diesel now, Port Lincoln is the same as last week. Weiler jumped 1 cent, sitting on $1.21. Port Augusta is $1.18. Port Pirie remains $1.17, Kadina $1.14 and Broken Hill $1.25. Adelaide has seen the biggest jump, averaging $1.20 a litre. A quick look at auto gas. Port Lincoln, Port Augusta and Kadina are averaging 89 cents, Weiler 84, Port Pirie, the cheapest regional centre, at 82 cents, and Broken Hill averaging 83. Adelaide is averaging 79 cents a litre. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages and do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you do find a spot that does sell unleaded, diesel or auto gas for cheaper, make sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Time for a quick check of the day's finance. Westpac and Bendigo Bank dropped by less than 1%, while Cube fell by more than 2%. Iron Road slumped 8%, however Oz Minerals and Santos were up. And the ASX 200 and All Ordinaries fell by more than 1%. And with a look at what's happening in the weather, here's Britt with the details.
Thanks, John, and good evening. It was another cold morning about the Spencer Gulf today, warming up to see maximums in the early to mid-teens. And there was a high of just 11 degrees in Adelaide. Port Lincoln, Kadina, Cleve and Clare all reached 12 today. Whyalla, Broken Hill and Coffin Bay 13. 14 was the high at Port Pirie. After a low of -3 at Woodner this morning, it warmed up to a top of 15 degrees. Port Augusta 16. Taking a look now at today's satellite images, with cloud crossing the south of South Australia in cool southerly winds but causing virtually no rain. Elsewhere, clear skies under a broad high. Moving on to tomorrow, and we will start with those Gulf waters. Winds southeast to northeasterly at about 10 knots, but becoming variable below 10 knots in the afternoon. Seas under a metre with south to southwesterly swells. Partly cloudy conditions forecast for Port Lincoln, looking at a high of 15. Cleve mostly sunny and 16. Another cold morning ahead at Woodner with early frost, then mostly sunny and 18. An overnight low of 1 degree for Whyalla, with morning frost ahead of a sunny afternoon and a high of 16. Morning frost at Port Augusta, then sunny and 17. Similar conditions for Kadina, frosty in the morning, then sunny and 14. Port Pirie, morning frost with a low of 0 early tomorrow. Sunny in the afternoon, a top of 16. Clare, morning frost, then sunny and 13. Broken Hill, mostly sunny with a top of 15. Taking a quick look ahead at the end of the week now. Friday, showers about the west coast, the lower eastern peninsula and the York Peninsula. Fine and partly cloudy elsewhere, with maximum temperatures in the mid to late teens, up to 20 at Port Augusta. Saturday, partly cloudy across the region, maximums between 16 and 18 degrees. And finally now to Sunday, with similar conditions to Saturday, fine and partly cloudy. And John, that is all I've got for you. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Britt. And that's the local news this Wednesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.